Hello, and welcome to another episode of Crossing Bridges Talk Show. I'm your host, Larry Montgomery, and this is my co host, Will. Will, introduce yourself.
Good evening, everyone. I'm William Montgomery. It's a pleasure to be here.
And our special
Yeah.
host, Jeanette Montgomery. Jeanette, introduce
Hi,
yourself.
I'm Jeanette. Hi.
She's traveling the nation right
Yes.
now. And,
Yeah.
and Kimmy,
Traveling the world.
yeah, and Kimmy won't be with us today. She's not feeling well. We understand. Who's that in the back behind you, Jeanette?
That's the dog.
That's the dog. The dog. He wants to be on the show too.
And we have Rover in the back. He start barking.
Yeah, he will want to.
Okay,
And if he start barking, I'm gonna let him out the car.
that's probably why he's barking, because he want to get out. But anyway, this week we want to talk about our topic for the week is General Colin Powell. You know, most of you probably have already heard that he passed earlier this week at the age of, what was it, 84 or 89? I forget.
84.
84. 84.
84. And he's had a very distinguished career, one that very few, if any, have lived through. And I thought that, you know, there was some things that we could talk about and maybe learn from his career and the kind of person he was. To me, well, no, let me start. Let me start with Will, because he's been in the service longer than me, so he may have a more in-depth opinion about Colin Powell. Will, what do you have to say?
Well, I never served with the man, but you know, very well respected. You know, to become a general and takes a lot of hard work, dedication, and understanding, and it does get political at the top. So to survive and thrive, much respect.
Okay. Jeanette, had you any thoughts on, or did you know him at all? I mean,
I really didn't know him. I knew of him,
not many.
but you know, as far as I'm concerned, I think he made a great move when they had was trying to get him to run for presidency,
Mhm.
and it took him a long while to think about that, and then he turned the option down, and I thought that was an excellent move because they was trying to apply. I guess he figured if he did become president, they would apply extra pressure to him that he didn't need, you know. So his wife had convinced him not to run, to just wait. So and he decided not to run. So then when Obama ran, they was pressuring him then, you know, back and forth, asking him, who was you going to endorse? Who were you going to endorse? And he finally called the news conference, and he said he was endorsing Obama, you know. So
Mhm.
that's as far as really basically that I know about him, which I know he was an excellent man to become the person that he was, and very intelligent and very powerful, you know. So and I totally respected him for that, you know, totally respected him.
Well, I think the comments between you and Will are right on target. Um, Most people have that opinion of Colin Powell. I had that opinion of him. That first
Mm.
off, he was a man of integrity. He was an intelligent
Yes.
man, and he was a man that you could
Yep.
count on. You know, he understood there's a time and a place to say what you want to say. You know,
Mm.
not everything needs to be blurted out in public. You know, just because you're upset with something don't mean you need to let people know that you're upset with something. Some
Right.
things you may not agree with, but you have to go along with because circumstances are what they are. And that's one of the things that came out when he passed. People were talking, you know, on the one side of their mouth, you know, he was a great guy, he did all this, and his career was so and so. And then at the other side of their mouth, they want to talk about his speech at the UN, on going into the war on Iraq, which
Right.
was interesting because here you have a man who was basically a symbol in this country, of success. When you talk about him considering running for the presidency, maybe that was something he wanted to do, or maybe not. But the politics of the situation at the first go round were such that you could wind up dead the day after you're
Right.
elected. This is where the country was at, and we still have that problem with folks out there that don't understand that it's not about you. It's about the collective. Just because your personal opinion is that everybody else is doing it wrong, and I know how to do it right, even though you're not in charge, doesn't mean that you can go in and tear
Right.
everything down just because you think you're right. You know, but anyway, I'm sorry. So he didn't run the first time out, and when uh, Obama was getting ready to run, his name was out there. The Republicans had said, "Well, what are we going to do to counter that?" You know, so
Right.
let's find our own Obama. And Colin was a Republican. Okay, fine. And so they asked him. He probably thought about it and said, "No, this is. I I think what's in there would make a better president." And
Right.
leave it at that. So who are you going to support, Colin? Yeah, well, I'm going to support the guy I think would do a better job. Compared to the ones that are out there running, that would be Obama. And he actually, as far as if you put Colin Powell's reputation and his career and the person that you knew him to be or saw him to be up against Barack Obama, you would see that they were pretty much in the same class.
Uh-huh.
These were people who were intelligent, who had been around, who understood government, you know, and well, Colin had a leg up on him because he understood military and that whole thing about strategy and combat and stuff like that. Yeah, world domination, you know, but so he may have had an edge
Yeah.
there, and he was actually older than Obama. So
Uh,
in my mind, it would have been you know, that would have been a race. That would have been a race. Not talking about any of the shenanigans that might have gone on, but the fact is that these two guys, these two leaders, you know, were going head in head for that particular office. There was nothing but good stuff. I mean, we all have our opinion about what Barack did or didn't do. That's an opinion, but I think that his administration was one of the top administrations, or one of the most admired administrations that we've ever had. Not one not one conviction or indictment, from the people who worked for him. So obviously he picked people of good character and integrity, and there were no personal scandals around him, which, the
right.
press, they'll take anything and make it a big issue because they think it's going to damage your reputation. That wasn't, he didn't have that plight. He had an uphill battle with the Congress, but, he figured that out in the second term that, you'll do what you do. I know how to do what I got to do. And he got stuff done.
Right.
This thing about Obamacare, which was his legacy, one of his legacies, is still standing. And there are a lot of people out there who just, not because of the fact that it's something that people need, but the fact that it was a black man whose name is on it, they have a problem with it. Which is just plain foolish. And we don't waste your time
Yeah.
worried about somebody whose name is on something. When it's something that clearly, I tell you, trust me, when you get my age, healthcare is important. Okay, it's important and it's expensive. But anyway, we're talking about Colin Powell. So as I was saying, what came out at same mouth, he was a good guy, great guy, whatever. But what he did in his speech at the UN about Iraq, was a problem. You know, and let me give you the comments that I got from CNN on that, and then we'll go from there. The event Colin Powell long regretted. That's the title of the article. This guy from CNN, who is their national security analyst and a vice president of New America, wherever that is, and a professor of practice at Arizona State University, and he's wrote a couple of books. What he said was, much of his later regret, then Secretary of State Colin Powell became the centerpiece of the George W. Bush administration's case for going to war in Iraq. Now, that statement there pretty much sets the stage for you've got a person who you've appointed to be the Secretary of State. Very powerful position. George Bush, if George W. Bush didn't sign off on it, Colin Powell wouldn't have been Secretary of State. So whether Powell was qualified or not, he was qualified. If he wasn't qualified, you owe George W. Bush. You owe politically, and all the other little perks that may have come along, family, relatives who got this job or whatever, all that stuff. That's all good stuff. But in the end, this was George W. Bush needed this war in order to keep himself relevant as the president of the United States. He wasn't doing such a good job. It was probably a job that was more than he thought he could handle. And the reality was he didn't do a great job. He kind of held on. And so now, if things aren't going well and you're president, what do? You make something happen that's going to take people's attention away from what you're not good at and put it in a place where something that you're good at. You know what I mean? Am I clear or am I not clear?
Oh, yeah. For example, if you don't mind, he should have did like Clinton. Monica Lewinsky, he took a trip to Africa. He got them roots on him. That's what got him off of him. So that's what he should have did.
Yeah. So you come up with whatever idea you came up with. He came up with this, well, let's do a war because,
yeah,
war is actually the business of the United States of America. That's our business. Okay. Mm-hmm. And we can have that conversation later on. But anyway, so George needed this. And who better to sell it than someone that people actually respected and who actually represented the best of what people thought of war. You want to have a good, when George Washington was out there, he was a great guy because he won. If he didn't win, he would have been a boom, but he won. And so here we go with Powell being, he was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, meaning he was the head man over all of the military folks. All the generals out there, they aspire to be on the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And then to be the chairman of that, you had to actually know what you were doing. Had your, like we say in the military, had your shit together. That's how we say it. Okay. So now, here we got George Bush with his agenda, and I need a front. So I go to the guy who would be the best front. So that had to be a lot of pressure on Powell. And the point was, you got to sell this idea of Saddam Hussein is our biggest problem. You got to sell it. And so he got all the information together that he could because, you're in that position as Secretary of State and all the agencies, the CIA, FBI, all of them, anything you want to find out, they're going to tell you what they got.
Mm-hmm.
Then you write your speech and you go do what you do. Now, at the end of the situation, after he made the speech, some of the realities of the points that he made in the speech came to fruition, meaning that, okay, today you say Well, Saddam Hussein has all this cache of weapons of mass destruction. So he's a problem. You know, the reality was he didn't. But at that moment in time, everybody thought and everybody was of the same mindset that he had them. Okay. So of course, when this guy who has great character and integrity stands up and says, "Well, he's got this stuff, and that's why he's so dangerous," everybody believes it. And so, with that as being one of the linchpins in the case against Iraq, you know, people bought into it. It was a great speech, and you know, boom, let's go with the tidal wave of supporters and do what we got to do. 20 years later, whole different opinion. You know, some of the things that the CIA had said in their reports to Powell before he made his speech were like borderline, meaning that we think these things are happening. We believe that so-and-so is a spy over here, and so-and-so's got this group of Al Qaeda representatives over here, and this kind of stuff. We're not sure. We have no evidence. And then 20 years later, they realized that no, we didn't have anything on them. We thought they were all, you know, in cahoots against the United States. And so, General, you know, you kind of misspoke. So they want to leave him holding the bag. And that's really unfair. Because, like I said, the first thing out the box is the president said, "This is what I need you to do. I need you to sell this to the public." Okay? And as a good, I don't care what your morals are or what your thoughts are. In that particular position, you had little or no choice but to say, "I got to do the job that they asked me to do." You know, it's kind of, thank you.
And she told me not to slam the door.
Anyway, it's the kind of thing that, you know, he was between a rock and a hard place. You know, if his own opinion was none of this stuff is true or none of this stuff makes any sense, so I'm not going to stick my neck out on partial evidence. The boss said, "I need you to do such and such." What are you going to do? Quit? You could quit, you know, and what is that going to do? If you quit, that means the boss just lost one of the legs in his chair. Because everybody's going to turn and try to say, "Well, wait a minute. Well, why would Powell quit? What is the president asking him to do?" You know, now you got a big problem, you know, a bigger problem than Hussein could have been if Powell had quit at that particular moment in time. So he was between a rock and a hard place. And this is my opinion. You know, I'm just kind of throwing this out from what I've seen. Will, did you have something you want to say, or you know?
I mean, who's to say that they didn't give him bad information and now they're just changing the record? You know, they could have told him, "Hey, yeah, it's all this crap over here, and go out there and do it." You know, and I mean, the CIA, that's their job: misinformation, disinformation, you know, subversion. You know, and like you said, if the president wants one thing, like, "Hey, look, this guy's a man of character. Give him the fixed sheet. Don't give him the actual sheet. Give him the fixed sheet. You know what I'm saying? And let him do his report and everything, and everybody will trust him, and he'll believe it. He'll sell it wholeheartedly." I mean, I'm not saying that that's what happened, but anything's possible. I don't trust much from the government, other than that their checks clear every month. That's about it.
Well, like I said, you know, I can certainly understand without having any solid facts or the fact that I was actually physically there and saw this happen or that happen or whatever. I could certainly understand that Colin was in a position that I'm between a rock and a serious hard place, period. because even if I believed that all of this stuff that I was about to say was true, it still was a rock in a hard place, because now I'm telling everybody we need to go and beat this man down and his country down. For what? To make the president look good? I mean, we go to war over what? Thinning out the herd and rebuilding and selling bullets. Those three things. That's what we do. So now the president has stepped up and said, this is what we need to do. You got a whole new player at the table, and you really have little or no choice, because you will be out on your butt, and all those benefits you ever had, they'll figure out how to take them from you. And it is, it is what it is. So, yes, Colin Powell had an exemplary career. Started out in the Army, and moved his way up to become one of the first four-star generals, black four-star generals of notoriety, and then on to Secretary of State. Before that, he was chief of the joint chief, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, or whatever they call that, and then became Secretary of State, the first black man in that position, which is, it says a lot about this country. Yes, the land of opportunity, but really, how hard do you have to work to get those opportunities, particularly because of your color?
Right.
Okay. You took the color out of the equation, it's a level playing field. The cream will always rise to the top. But then you want to color some part of it and color the other part of it, and then have an issue. Well, just because he's black, whatever. And Colin he was the son of an immigrants, Jamaicans, which again, talk about land of opportunity. The opportunities are here, but the battle is long and deep. So, okay, that's what I have on Colin Powell. Any closing comments?
Well, when you have made the statement about, you have to do whatever you got to do to make the president look good, what happened with Trump?
Well, who did he have supporting him?
Will, he had he had what's her name? The crazy black lady that they locked out. Not Condoleezza Rice, the crazy one.
The one from the Apprentice. I remember her, but she ain't really do much.
Yeah.
She did a whole lot. She did a whole lot
early in the administration.
I can't think of her name right now, but I'm telling you,
yeah,
she was not on the level of a Colin Powell. And
no.
When you look at other people in these presidents' administrations and cabinets, many of these people have hands-on experience in the area or the discipline that they've been appointed to oversee. Some of them were deputies and then got promoted. Some of them were actually in the same, let's just say, business, education. You have a secretary of education, and they may have been the head of a college, university, or whatever. They brought something to the table. The woman you talking about, she didn't bring nothing but mouth to the table.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, I wouldn't, I'm not down on her for that. I mean, that's, that's what you do. She was executive at, was it Essence? A magazine. She was one of the executives, or the executive at a magazine, black magazine. But anyway, you're not bringing anything, really pertinent to the administration that someone could look down across the conference room table and say, well, yo, so-and-so, Colin, tell me about war. You know, yeah, I can tell you about war. I can tell you about the
Yeah.
military and so on and so forth. But you're asking somebody who was a journalist, tell me about politics. You know, you're looking for a poll, see what the statistics said about what people's opinions are. I mean, anybody to do that. You're not bringing anything to the table. But anyway, so Trump didn't have. He had a lot of people there that worked for him who were his people he knew, people who were rich, okay,
Mm,
people who were, greedy, they're there for the
right.
money, okay, but they're not
Mm.
bringing anything to the table, you know. Who was that in charge of the post office? What was his name? Uh, Del Joy, whatever that guy's name is. You
Oh,
know,
I really
complete
didn't know because
complete
I
idiot.
wasn't. Hey, oh, totally. But I didn't have to worry about the post office because I got the debit card. So,
Well, anyway,
you know,
the reason the post office was important was because of the election.
mm,
People put in their
yeah, the votes. Yeah, the
absentee
votes.
ballots. Okay,
Right.
so that's why that was important.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what did he bring to the table? Nothing. Okay,
Right.
but a problem. And but anyway, DeJoy, I think that was his name, DeJoy, DeJoy.
Mm,
But
I,
anyway,
I
and
find
then,
I do find it funny that the post office has been that same way for years and years and years, and they chose to do that with something as important as the election to send ballots that and a system that they had problems with for all these decades, and they overflooded it with sending these ballots out. I mean, that didn't really make sense, but that's what Congress had chose to do.
what do you mean all the ballots? People
The absentee
people
ballots,
vote.
yeah,
They send their
but
ballots
because of
in.
COVID, because of COVID, a lot of rules were changed, and it was chosen to send out the ballots and open up all this stuff for a lot longer than normal.
But
exactly.
that wasn't a problem. That wasn't a problem
You were
because
just complaining
if
about the postal service.
you had over almost 150 million people vote. Not all of them sent in, mail-in ballots. The point that I'm talking about is that however well or unwell the post office ran in the past was not a point of concern. They did what they did until he got there, and all of a sudden, it became public knowledge that the things that he was doing were detrimental to the post office doing its job. Then,
Mm,
with the election coming up and the concern with, mail in ballots, no one knew that as many people were going to vote as did vote. No one at any time knew that many people were going to show up. This issue at the post office was months in advance of the election. And
Yeah.
that's why I'm saying the impact that Trump's appointment of DeJoy was a detriment to his administration because he picked the wrong guy,
mm,
and the kind of guy
Honestly,
he picked had, it was like, I'm here to make money and that's it. You
what
got
I'm
a
saying is
you got a
the
public
post office
service
been
job.
struggling for years, for decades. I mean, I worked in the post office back in 2018, and it's not easy. It's, I mean, any day can be overwhelming, especially with Amazon packages and all this other stuff going through the postal service. So to put that additional burden, and that wasn't even election year. You're talking about Christmas time, and you're talking about election year. It they people that know should have known that that was going to be an extra burden on that system. And if it was a problem already, why do it and have additional issues, especially if this guy's incompetent? You see what I'm saying? I mean, you're
Are
saying that
you
the guy
saying?
was incompetent,
Yeah, I'm saying
so
that.
why would they put that, responsibility on somebody that you feel is incompetent, unless you either want it to fail or, you know,
Well, I
see
think
what I'm
that's the question we're facing here. He was appointed by Trump, you know, before this election, you know, before people started to hear the publicity about the negative publicity about the post office performance. And even with the negative publicity, no, take the publicity out. Looking at the post office itself, the post office is one of the best performing operations in the world. Even though, wait a minute, compared to everybody else, it is. And the point is, even though, let's say we're talking about people running a track race, I got my team out here, I got 5 runners, and we're the best in the world. Only one of them is going to come in first place. Only one. So what the post office point I'm trying to make is that while they may or may not have had problems before Trump became the president, when he put this guy in there who had no clue, and he started to do things that didn't make any sense, just made it worse. So that's the point I want to make. It just made it worse. Then to add on to that, we had to face the pandemic and the high turnout of voters. So yeah, you messed up because you put the wrong guy in, and then it blew up in his face, and then it blew up in your face. You know, so yeah, putting people in the right place as the leader is important.
But what I'm saying is, you said this came out months and months before the election. If you know that this guy's incompetent, why would you put that burden on an incompetent individual, knowing that this, well, one, I worked at the post office. And like I said, they expect way more production than sometimes one individual can provide. And that was, like I said, not even during the election year, not even after Christmas. You know what I'm saying? The system is overburdened. They don't have enough people out there. So when you take all these things, like I said, I worked at the post office. I had to let them go. I was like, I'm not doing this. You're going to drive me crazy. And hence the term postal.
You know, just to add to your point there, I also worked for the post office for a while. This was before Amazon and Microsoft and all that kind of stuff. You know, we had like stamps that you put on there. You know, you carry it. You know, okay. Anyway, so back then, and yeah, it had problems. Okay, we understand that. It can be overwhelmed sometimes, but yet it still was one of the best and most effective operations of its kind in the world. So even what they normally do, let's just say is 80% of the job. Let's just give them a B. They do a B job. Okay, fine. Before Trump was elected. Then when Trump was elected, he appointed his guy to go work there. He got there, he started doing this thing. Now they're doing a C job. Then everything went south. You know,
I'm not arguing with that. I'm saying, why, if this is what you're saying you're dealing with, why add more pressure to that system that you feel is not working at a 80% level? If you feel like it's not 70%,
at an A level,
it's not at an A level. If you say B level, now you're saying it went down to a C, and then you turn around and put this huge burden of importance on this system that you found out months before was not what you expected it to be. Why still do it? But they still chose to do it. You see what I'm saying? They still chose to do it, even though everything you're saying, if the guy's incompetent, he ain't getting the job done, changing stuff that he shouldn't be changing. Why am I going to put my confidence in something that's as serious as a national election? You know, doing ballots.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? That's my thing.
That's a good question. I agree.
But you know,
okay.
And then we got what we got now.
What we got now? Problem with the post office?
Nah, the leadership that we have now. All those gas prices.
Gas prices, we don't control gas prices. What we do is we have not been effective in controlling our consumption of gas. That has been an issue that has been on the table way before Biden got there, way before Trump got there.
Okay. Let me say this. You know, right before the last president left, because I know people get triggered when you mention his name. Right before the last president
Obama.
left, no, not that one. Right before he left, we were energy independent. Now they got to go negotiate with OPEC about trying to free up some oil so that the gas prices will go down.
We
I
were
mean,
never energy independent. Never.
you might want to look that up. You might want to look that up.
Listen,
Under the last president, yeah, that's why gas prices were so low. And
gas prices weren't so low because Trump was
you
president.
live in New York. your gas price is always going to be high. Our gas price was like $1, like $1.50, $1.70. Now it's up to over $3 now down here.
So was ours, over $3.
Yeah,
Well, ours always be low because every time I walk past the gas station, I look at the sign. Say, damn, get lower and lower. Shit, yeah.
A lot of people walking nowadays, ain't they?
All those people that need oil to heat their homes, but think about all those people that need oil to heat their homes, how bad it's going to be in wintertime.
But Will, my point is this, simply this. Oil, energy has been a problem that we have known about for 40 years. Easy. Okay? So I wouldn't be the first one to blame anybody in the last 39 years, other than to say that we have not done an effective job in that area. Okay? That's what I'm saying. So whether you're Democrat or Republican, over the last 40 years, not one of you have done an effective job in that area. So we're still facing these problems with someone else determining, well, we'll just raise the price. We are now focusing on electric cars. Great.
And how do they power those electric cars, Dad?
I don't know. I thought they used electricity.
The materials that they need for those electric cars have to be produced through coal-driven or oil-driven machines. So you have to mine for these things. You have to pull it out the ground. You have to tear up the environment that they're supposed to be protecting just to make these batteries that only last for a short while. And the power that goes through it is generated through coal and gas. So it's like you're taking away the thing that's going to help you make those batteries and charge those batteries. And it's just, for lack of a better term, asinine.
If you coal and oil, you're digging and bringing it up, and you're using 80% of it to drive your cars with, to operate your cars with. When if we switch to electric cars, you're still digging it up, but you're only using 10% of it to manufacture the batteries. You don't see the benefit there?
No, because how long do the batteries last? And the power that charges those batteries.
I said you're only using 10% of it.
How about we look at California and they're rolling brownouts? They're the most regulated state in the union, and they can't keep the power on in their state. But everybody wants those same policies all over the Americas, all over the United States. Like, if it don't work, it don't work. You know?
Maybe we could start by looking at why is California so big? If we made it California and cut it in half and made it Malifornia, then only half of the problem would be in California, right?
The problem is
we can cut you left and right. I'm telling you.
We can laugh and joke and stuff like that, but there's really people out there that's struggling, every day. I'm good. There's people out there that ain't, and when we don't talk about it and look at it logically, we're gonna keep making
the point is that we haven't, as a country, we haven't dealt with these issues effectively. That's what I'm saying.
How do you? Okay, and I understand. I can agree with that. But what I'm saying is, how are you going to remove the lifeblood of the nation for something that you still haven't perfected? If electrical cars, if they're so great, they should be knocking them out, pumping them out, because if it's a national emergency, they should have ramped up the supply You know what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying, and I guess because I didn't make myself crystal clear. We are now focusing on electric cars,
I
but
hear,
that's not the answer. The answer might just be solar powered cars. I don't know. My point is because we haven't effectively looked into this and see what we should be doing as opposed to, well, this makes economic sense right now. Under Trump, economic sense was to continue to coal mine. Under Biden, it's like, what about what they call it, wind power and stuff like that there. I'm not saying either one of them is right, but I am saying that Trump's plan didn't make a lot of sense because everybody else in the world is moving forward with other sources of energy. And so I'm just going to say that,
mhm.
we as a country have not focused on coming up with an answer to that problem,
and,
whether it be
and
Republican or Democrat. We
and I
have
agree with you.
okay. So
Yeah,
we didn't
I'm
say
saying I agree with that, but
that.
why would you take away what we use every day to even manufacture the stuff, supply the stuff, power the stuff before you even develop a sustainable battery or a battery that doesn't need to be charged or one that can be powered by the by the sun? Why would you take that away, knowing that it's going to make some people poorer because the price of gas? Because last I checked, my car runs on gas. So if the price of gas go up, I'm paying more at the pump. If I don't have the money to pay that to put gas in the car, I can't drive that car. So you got people with tens of thousands of dollars worth of cars that is going to be a brick in a minute because they can't get gas or they can't afford to put more than a gallon in their tank. You see what I'm saying?
I
Because
understand.
there's
Yeah.
no, they didn't do what you said, come up with a viable solution with battery operated vehicles, solar powered vehicles, or whatever before they took away the fuel for
No, I
what we
understand that.
use now.
That wouldn't make any sense. But go on, Jeanette, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to say something. As far as those electrical cars, I have a friend that has one, and they wanted the floor, so they live in Atlanta, so they wanted to drive it to New York. It could take 14 hours to get to New York in a gas provided car. Electrical car, it took 24 hours to get there. Then it got shipped back, you know. So
Well, they may have bought a cheap car, but anyway.
no,
Oh,
it's
you
one of
talking
those that where the doors go up.
the
One of those
Tesla?
A
Teslas,
Tesla?
right.
Well,
Right,
then
the
they
Tesla.
realize your problem. Tesla
Yeah,
should have bought a
yeah.
Ford. Been better off.
Yeah,
But anyway,
they're the ones that
No,
pioneered the
nah.
electrical car industry that you're talking about going to. And Chevy got vehicles, the batteries blow up and melt. So it's like, look, it's not perfected. So
obviously it's not working out well. So move on to something else. That's all.
Well, let's move on to this because this like behooved me. A couple of days ago, I happened to be in my travels. I got a 2001 Chevrolet, I Chev one, and lay the other one. So I'm moving, and I happened to walk past the coal mine, and I could have swore that I seen Satan up there making an order for more coal. So I said, "Well, what's going on with him?" You know. So I overheard him using some, profane language to the people and stuff, and say he got to get this in, because we got to make we're trying to enlarge hell because they're coming in so fast they don't have enough room. So you need to double up on my order. When I order my coal, I want to ship that quick. So I mean, anything could possibly happen. I mean, shoot, hell, if I had a car, I made myself try Crisco oil in it to see what's going to happen. Shoot, oil's oil. Shoot, hmm. So that's what I had to say. But I wanted to holler at Satan, but then I said nah, because he ain't gonna be too happy with my conversation anyway. Because I said you need to be on downstairs, where you belong at. Up here making your orders, you ain't got. You could have called somebody up and had them deliver your order to them. To you. You know, you all up in here and your little horn sticking up and stuff, being all noticed and stuff. You better be glad somebody don't bop you in your head or do something to you. Shoot. Mm-mm. No, I ain't like that with the coal business.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I mean, it's sad. Like, I mean, everybody's worried about the environment, but it's like we have what we have. We gotta use what we got to get where we need to be. Coal heats houses. I mean, they're trying to get rid of fossil fuels, but what are they gonna fly planes in? These same people that are talking about go to electric cars, you know, see, they still flying in their private jets, still using fuel, you know, to fuel their convoys and stuff like that. They're souped up, you know, Chevy vehicles and stuff like that. But everybody else is supposed to switch over to electric while they're still using these things. And the ships, the shipping industry. Last I heard, I've only heard recently maybe that they're trying to do battery powered ships, but I've never heard of a battery powered plane. You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
Right.
so everything's like, and you said that your friend took 24 hours to get to New York.
Right.
If we're gonna put that in a plane, how long is it gonna take to fly from here to California?
Mm.
How far are we gonna get if we try to fly across the ocean with a battery? You know, I mean, like this is the thing that don't make no sense. But they're attacking what they could use to. I mean, you can build up something to replace it, but you don't replace something. I mean, you don't get rid of something before you can replace it effectively, and that's what I'm saying.
Right.
But that's what was
Mhm.
done, and a lot of it's going to hurt the shipping industry. All the prices on everything is going to go up because if I'm trying to get
Right.
something shipped from California, who's going to bring it to me? The truck drivers. Well, what do truckers need? They need gas.
Yes,
The cost of
exactly.
gas go up, so the price of my product to get shipped to me just went up. You know, so it's like all this stuff just permeates everything, and people are seeing it. People are seeing the delays in the shipping system, which he was supposed to fix, the new president. But it's still a problem. Still ain't got fixed. It got worse. And
What is it has what just tell me one thing. What is it has Biden done?
not he
What
screwed everything up. Everything that
is
he went and did the opposite of everything the last president did, and we are seeing the benefits of his genius. And I say that to be
yeah,
facetious. We're seeing the
right,
benefits of
right,
his genius because if the gas prices are going up, and last year was $1.50, $6, $70 down here in Georgia. I mean, I know it's always been high up in New York, but
right.
it's like now it's three. I went today, it was like 3.19 for regular
Wow.
unleaded. I'm like, gotta love this stuff, right? you know,
Hmm.
you
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
limit
That
people's
makes me
mobility.
question.
Cost of food goes up, you know, everything, shipping, furniture, anything you're trying to get, the price is gonna go up because truckers have to bring that to us. And if they got to pay more and put gas in their truck, they're gonna have to charge higher prices to bring that. And if McDonald's is gonna pay higher prices to get the stuff shipped to them, they're gonna raise up their Big Mac. You know, they're gonna raise up the price on their chicken McNuggets. You know,
Right.
everything's gonna be affected by it, and people don't see it, and they think, oh well, this oh, you know, we saving the environment. Like, okay, you're gonna save the environment, but you're gonna price yourself out of a sandwich, and you know, in the next couple of
Mhm.
years, and you're gonna be like, dang, I can't even find the apple because all the apples are on the other side of the country, and those trucks can't get no fuel to bring it
Well,
to.
well, we won't suffer too bad because we do got pecan trees around here.
Mhm. I mean,
Yeah.
but that's what I'm saying. It's like they didn't logically think of it before they started doing stuff. And instead of saying, okay, well, let's come up with a plan where we're going to do this by a certain time. We're going to start giving incentives for people to come up with a way to, you know, to to fuel stuff without, or to power stuff, get away from
Hmm.
fuel to power stuff, houses, homes, cars, anything that doesn't burn fossil fuels. If you can have somebody come up with that, hey, problem solved. But until you get that, you leave everything in place. I'm not going to sell my house and then go look for a house. I'm gonna find a house, then sell my house. You see what I'm saying? It's like they're
Exactly.
doing things backwards. And when if I was to sell my house and then go look for a house, what am I? I'm homeless, right? Until I
Yeah,
find another house. And if everybody comes
exactly.
in with more money and buys up the houses that's on the market, I remain homeless even longer, even if I got money in my
Mhm.
pocket. So that's what I'm saying. It's like
Mhm.
they're not doing things the right way, the smart way. And even though they didn't like the previous president, gas prices were cheaper. People were able to go on vacations. People were able to do a lot more than what they're able to do now. And a lot of people are waking up to that. And you ever heard that saying, "Let's go, Brandon"?
No, not really. Not
Okay.
really.
Well, there's a new song. It's it's like number one on the iTunes charts. It's called "Let's Go, Brandon" because it's
Oh,
a meme.
really?
Yeah, you might want to check it out.
Oh, the
Anybody
only
that's
one I
watching,
know.
"Let's Go, Brandon." Let's go, Brandon.
Oh, okay, the only one I know is Let's Go Mets. So
Oh, that's New York right there. You know what I'm saying? That's
yeah,
all
yeah,
good.
yeah. That's it. Just sticks in my head. But anyway, I'll check out that Let's Go Brandon. Why it couldn't be Let's Go Rashim or Karan or Killer? You
Well,
know.
well, since we got a minute here, what happened was there was a NASCAR driver named Brandon. I don't know his last name, but he had won for the first time, and there was some chants in the background. I can't say it right now because it probably
Yeah.
won't make it to the cut. But
Right.
they were saying something uh, in the sense of with the F word and the current president's name, and
Uh-huh.
so the news reporter that was interviewing him was like, "Oh, that's so nice. They're saying let's go, Brandon." So people took that "let's go, Brandon," you know, as a synonym to F the current president.
Oh, okay, okay.
And the guy from Canada made a rap song about it. Well, it's only like one verse, but
Yeah.
I mean, people people know when you hear people say "let's go, Brandon," that's what they're saying.
Right.
They're saying,
Oh, okay. Now I
yeah,
get it. So if I hear that, I'll tune into it. Yeah. Yeah.
for those people
Yeah.
that didn't know, now you know. Let's go,
Yeah.
Brandon.
Now maybe I can go as far as making a couple more verses for it. You
Yeah,
know.
probably. You
Yeah,
know,
for sure.
it's
For
gonna go
sure.
around and around, and shoot, who knows? There might be a part two, part three. Shoot, I
Yeah.
might start
Yeah.
making music again.
Oh, good. Cool. 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 I'll buy it. I'll buy it. I'll
Let's
buy
go,
it.
Brandon. Let's
That's for
go,
sure.
Brandon.
Hello. Hello. So, what happened to Larry?
I don't know. I saw him disappear from the screen. I was like, okay, well, just gonna keep going. Hopefully he comes back.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
in the meantime, because we're still live and we're still rolling, we live in effect.
Hmm.
How's everything going
Yeah.
with you?
Well, everything is going, pretty all right. Really can't complain. Don't make no sense. It just aggravates me even
Oh,
more. But
gotcha.
long as God wake me up every morning happy and healthy, you
Amen.
know, I look to see a great day. You know,
I'm gonna
exactly.
freeze for a minute. I got a phone call.
You froze for real. Oh, 716 yes.
Okay.
You back? You back?
Newsflash. Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah.
Newsflash. Okay. For our viewers, we would like to extend the opportunity for you to recommend topics for our discussion. Please just hit us up in the comment box or the chat line, and we'll look at them and we'll get back. We'll try to work that into the schedule. And for those that would like to know, next week's topic is going to be on questions you should ask when you're interviewing for a job. And we're going to try to get some more financial education going on the site. Do you have anything that you would like to say, Aunt Jeanette?
No, not really. Anyway, it was great. You had a good time as always, and by the grace of God, hope to see you next week.
Definitely. Hope to see you next week as well. So
Mhm.
on that note, we're going to sign off and see you next week if the creek don't rise.
All righty, deuces.
Deuces.
All right, love you, dude.
Love you too. All right,
All
bye.
right, bye bye. Okay, we all off, or we? What the hell happened? Okay, after. Guess we cut off. Oh shit. Uh, oh, I was just.
Oh, it seemed like you were still on for some reason.
Oh
Let me
well,
see. How did you come out of it?
I just pressed the square button. I didn't think they was coming back on because he
No, I
didn't
was
know.
saying you were still on. How do you
Uh,
sign out of it though? From Facebook?
yeah, Facebook. I just
I think you off. That's how I ended off. So I think you off.
I'm off. Okay. Yeah,
I
good.
think so. Yeah.
I don't know what happened. What with Larry? I don't know. I called you
Excuse me. I'm
to
sorry.
put this window up.
Yeah, I left the key. I'm not sure.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know what happened with him either.
Yeah, I don't think he probably liked it something I said, or who knows? I don't know.
Are you sure you off, man?
I don't know, and I really don't give a damn.
Let me see. Okay, how do you join it?
On the messenger. That's way on the top on the right hand side.
This?
Pull it down. What? You see the black? Where's messenger? Messenger's normally up here. Why isn't it up here? Oh, there it goes.
Where?
Up there. Okay, and then press that. And okay. All right, well, thank you. That's all. That's how you get on.
Okay, I believe you off. Then. Yeah.
I'm off.
Yeah, I think so. Because I was on YouTube. Well, let me see. Let me just make sure it's signed out.
Yeah, so
I don't know what happened with Larry.
I don't know. He might not like the something I said or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, yeah. He'll tell me about it. He'll tell me about it. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, he'll tell me about it. If I had said something that he didn't like,
Yeah.
you know, he crazy.
I know.
You know,
I wonder what happened with
he'll
his system
tell me.
though.
He'll tell me quick. Jeanette, yes, yes. Jeanette, you know this. Jeanette, you know you're supposed to not say that. Huh? Did Felicia text or something? Oh, this ain't not even plugged up in the phone.
Where's your phone?
I just put it in my
Let me
pocket.
see it.
So maybe I wasn't even talking. Well, you're gonna have screw ups. So what the hell?
Yeah, true.
Yeah, Dan's gonna have screw ups, and it's still gonna be perfect, and you know.